All right, hey everyone, welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Glad to be back.
So, you know how it is out there right now. Tons of headlines just flying around. It can be tough to figure out, you know,
Right.
what to even focus on what actually matters.
Yeah,
So that's what we do here, right?
absolutely.
To help you sift through all that noise and really make sense of the biggest stories, the ones that
Yeah.
are actually, going to shape the U.S. moving forward.
Yeah, you're probably seeing these stories in bits and pieces, but we want to connect those dots for you paint a fuller picture of what's going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So today we're going to deep dive into three pretty major trends, and they're all kind of intertwined. It's pretty
Okay.
interesting. So we're going to talk about the potential TikTok ban, all the back and forth around that.
Right.
The 2024 election, which is shaping up to be a total roller coaster.
For sure.
And then this massive AI wave that's hitting pretty much every corner of our lives.
It's everywhere.
Right. And to really get into this, we're pulling from a great conversation over on the Pulse, breaking down the latest U.S. Trends podcast. Specifically, their episode called TikTok Ban, Election Fever, and the AI Revolution, What's Really Happening. So, yeah, we're kind of like your guides through this deep dive. We'll break down the key points from that discussion and help you understand what it all really means.
That's the goal.
Okay, let's kick things off with the TikTok situation, because it seems like the core question here is the government trying to keep us safe, or are they overstepping?
Yeah, that's the big debate, isn't it? National security versus like freedom of expression. On one side you have the U.S. government, and they're super worried about national security. And a lot of that comes down to TikTok's parent company.
Right, ByteDance.
ByteDance, exactly. And they're based in China. And that's where the whole thing gets tricky, because China's got those data privacy laws that could basically force ByteDance to hand over all sorts of data from U.S. users.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we're talking like sensitive personal data stuff that could be used in all kinds of ways.
Right, that's the big fear, right? That all this American user data could end up in the wrong hand. But TikTok keeps saying they would never do that, right?
Oh, they deny it. Absolutely.
They deny it.
But that brings up the other side of this argument, the whole censorship free speech issue. Millions of people in the U.S. use TikTok not just for fun, but to express themselves, share their opinions, connect with others. It's like a huge platform for free speech. So blocking it would be like silencing all those voices.
And it's not just individuals, right?
Real.
We're talking about like a massive number of creators
Totally.
and small businesses who rely on TikTok to reach their audience.
Their whole livelihood depends on it.
Yeah, for some people, it's not just a hobby. It's how they make a living.
Right.
So banning TikTok could have like a really serious economic impact.
Definitely a ripple effect.
Okay, so let's talk about the political side of this for a sec. Because President Biden, he signed that divest or ban bill, right?
He did.
Which basically put TikTok in this limbo.
Totally in limbo.
But then you've got former President Trump, who was all for a ban initially, and now he's totally against it.
Right. It's kind of a head scratcher.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what's really going on there. I mean, is it really about national security, or is there some political strategy at play?
Could be some strategic moves.
Yeah. I mean, maybe opposing the ban is like a way to connect with those younger voters who are super active on TikTok.
Makes sense.
It's a really interesting angle.
For sure.
And here's the thing. Even if TikTok gets banned, that doesn't mean that whole online space just vanishes, right?
Nope.
We'd probably see platforms like Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts just blow up.
Oh, yeah, they're ready and waiting.
They're in a prime position to just swoop in and grab all those users and all that ad revenue.
It's like a market shift waiting to happen.
But at the end of the day, it all comes back to that fundamental First Amendment question, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, with so many people using TikTok to express themselves, does the government even have the right to shut it down?
Yeah.
Even if there are national security concerns.
Yeah, when it's such a big platform for free speech, that's a tough one.
It's a really tough one. All right, so let's move on from viral videos to voting booths. Because the 2024 election,
Oh, boy.
it's already looking like it's going to be pretty wild.
Buckle up. Yeah.
We're in for a ride. So we've got the two main contenders, and they're both facing some pretty big challenges.
For sure.
On one side, you've got Trump, who still has a ton of support, like a really dedicated base.
He does.
But he's also dealing with all these legal battles, which could definitely hurt his chances as we get closer to the election.
They could, for sure.
And then you've got Biden, and, there are those questions about his age.
Right.
And if he's really up for another term.
It's a common concern.
Yeah, and it seems like the Democrats are really focusing on issues like abortion rights and the whole saving democracy message.
Yeah, that seems to be their strategy.
But they've also got to deal with inflation, which is still a a major problem for a lot of people.
A big issue.
And then to make things even more complicated, you've got these third-party candidates, especially RFK Jr., who's actually pulling in support from both sides.
Yeah. He's shaking things up.
He is. So could he actually swing the election in some key states?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in those tight races, even a small percentage of votes going to a third-party candidate can make a huge difference.
It's like a wild card.
Total wild card.
And we can't forget about the whole TikTok thing, right?
Yeah, good point.
I mean, if it gets banned, how will that affect young voters, especially?
It's an interesting question.
Yeah, because TikTok has become a major platform for political discussions and organizing, especially among younger generations.
Right.
So taking that away could definitely change how campaigns reach those voters.
For sure.
And this is where AI comes in, and it's actually pretty scary.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about those deepfakes, those super realistic fake audio and video clips of candidates.
They're getting so good.
I know. Imagine like a fake audio of a candidate saying something totally crazy going viral right before the election.
Oh, it could happen.
It could, and that's the scary part, because those deepfakes can spread like wildfire on social media. And even though platforms are trying to label them, it's tough to keep up with the speed and volume of information online.
It's like a constant battle.
It is. And with all this uncertainty and potential for misinformation, it's totally possible that the election results could be disputed.
Oh, yeah.
Which could lead to legal challenges and court battles, just like we've seen in the past.
History could repeat itself.
It could. So, yeah, we might be in for a long and messy process after the election.
Well, it wouldn't be surprising.
Not at all. Okay, so let's shift gears and talk about AI in general. Because it's not just about elections. It's literally everywhere.
It's everywhere.
I mean, from helping us write resumes to creating music to cloning voices, it's kind of mind-blowing.
It's moving so fast.
It really is. So I got to ask, is all this AI stuff exciting or terrifying?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the speed of development is incredible, and we're seeing the impact across so many different areas.
Like in Hollywood, for example.
Oh, yeah, the SAG-AFTRA strikes.
Those were huge.
Those were huge, and it shows how concerned people are about AI taking their jobs. Actors are worried about being replaced by AI-generated versions of themselves.
Which is totally understandable.
Totally understandable.
And then you've got all these AI startups popping up everywhere with like barely any regulation.
It's a bit of a Wild West out there.
It is. And going back to the election again, the ability to create those convincing fake audio clips of candidates, that's a huge threat to democracy.
It undermines trust and makes it hard to know what's real.
Exactly. And what about the economy? I mean, we hear so much about AI taking away jobs.
It's a valid concern for sure.
It is, because AI can automate so many tasks that humans currently do. So yeah, some jobs will definitely be lost.
But I think it's important to remember that new jobs will also be created jobs that we can't even imagine yet.
That's true.
Just like with any major technological shift, there's going to be a period of adjustment.
It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. And then you've got these like super weird and futuristic AI applications popping up too, like AI girlfriends and hologram concerts.
It's like sci-fi becoming reality.
It is. Mm-hmm. It's pretty wild. Okay, so let's recap. We talked about the TikTok ban, which is still uncertain. The 2024 election, which is going to be a nail-biter, and the rise of AI, which is changing everything.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. So what are the key takeaways here?
Well, I think it's about recognizing how all these things are connected. The TikTok debate has political motives and free speech implications. The election is vulnerable to AI misinformation, and the rise of AI has huge economic and ethical consequences that we're just starting to understand.
Right. So yeah, there's a lot to think about.
A lot to think about.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this too. You can connect with The Source Podcast on Instagram. They're at The Pulse Podcast.
Yeah, share your perspective with them.
Exactly. And for our next deep dive, we're going to be talking about the student loan crisis and this interesting trend of de-influencing.
Looking forward to that one.
Yeah, me too. So stay tuned for that. But before we go, I want to leave you with this thought. With AI getting so good at creating fake stuff, it's more important than ever to be skeptical of what you see online, especially those crazy viral videos.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
See you next time.
See ya.
Bye. Bye.